Round 5 of the NASCAR SK Modified Series on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, is next.
You know, racing the truck at Eldora versus, say, racing a sprint car at Eldora, it's not even comparable. It's just really slow motion. The car kind of floats around more. Challenging because they are so heavy, and it's just way different.
Good evening and welcome to Round 5 of the NASCAR SK Modified Series, live on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live, where we will see 50 laps of action-packed racing around the track known as the Bullring. My name is Brian Macklin, and it's almost time to kick off the action here tonight. The cars have gridded, and we are getting ready to go. We're going to quickly go through the starting lineup of tonight's race. James Curl will start on the pole here tonight. He ran a very fast lap of a 14.015. To his outside is OJ Dampier. Then we have Scott Sterling in third. AJ Rogers is fourth. David Greenslet is fifth. And then we have Tyler Simmons, Glenn Pressel III, Garrett Richardson, and Brian Williams running out this 9-car field here at the Bullring. It's going to be a very exciting race here tonight. We're looking at 50 laps of extremely tight quarters racing. A very small track here, less than a quarter mile. These guys are going to run around here and do laps under 15 seconds the entire time. So it's going to be a very exciting race. Cannot wait to get this thing underway. They have about a half a lap before they're going to go racing here, and James Curl is trying to win yet another one here at the Bullring. He won just a couple of hours ago in the 7 o'clock race, and he's going to try to get it done now. The pace car goes to the safety of pit road. We're about ready to go for 50 laps here at the Bullring, waiting for the drivers to take off. They can go whenever they want, or they can wait till the green flag. Now we are underway. Green flag is out, and already James Curl has jumped out to a huge lead as they head off into turn 1. He gets clear of OJ Dampier, and now the battle is on behind them. You see side-by-side racing right behind these guys as it's Scott Sterling and AJ Rogers battling side-by-side for the third position. Looks like that number 6 machine of Scott Sterling is going to have the advantage as he's down on the bottom of the racetrack, and he does indeed move ahead and take that position away. So he's going to move into third and now see if he can't try to chase these guys down in front of him and maybe make a challenge for the race lead. However, right now he is just not close enough. Neither is OJ Dampier. As we see James Curl, he has just jumped out there to a huge lead, already about 4 or 5 car lengths over OJ here in just a couple of laps. Already we have knocked off 3 laps. We're beginning lap number 4. That's how quickly these things fly by here on this little track. And you see the front 4 or 5 are getting stretched out. We have a nice battle going on, though, from about 5th on back to the tail end of this field. David Greenslet is leading that charge. He's got Tyler Simmons right on his back bumper. He's trying to make something happen, see if he can't take that position away from him and maybe challenge for a top 5 position here. However, just it's so hard to pass. You have to be very mindful of the guys around you, and you have to be careful not to put yourself in a precarious position, especially this early into the race. You do not want to find yourself on the hook just 5 laps in. You certainly want to keep your car clean through the majority of this race and put yourself in position to be in a good finishing position when it's all said and done. David Greenslet kind of runs up the track in the middle of the corner. That opens the door now for Tyler Simmons to move to the inside of him. He's going to take that position away. We see Tyler Simmons now moving into the 5th spot, and now he tries to move ahead from the rest of these guys as well. Still a nice little battle here going on at the back half of this field. These guys are racing pretty aggressively here in the beginning of this race, just trying to get some track position and try to see if they can't take advantage of the fresh tires that they have right now, because certainly as the tires wear off, they're going to get a little bit spread out, and it's going to be harder to make moves and take positions away from one another the later the race gets on. Not really a whole lot going on at the front right now, as James Curl is still your race leader. He's out by about a half a second right now over OJ Dampier, who's trying to close that gap. He's got it down just under, or just over half a second, but it is so hard to close in that gap on a track this small, because you have to be so perfect all the way around the track. You have to be mindful of not hitting the curbs down on the bottom of the racetrack, and just hitting your marks and getting into a rhythm. And that's what we're seeing these two at the front of the field do right now, as James Curl is just driving a very smooth race. He's not really trying to drive the car too hard. He's just hanging on and doing exactly what he needs to do in order to win this race and try to hold on to the race lead. And he pulled away right there as he gained about a tenth of a second on OJ just in that one lap alone. And he just continues to try to build on that gap and try to pull away, as now he's continuing to grow that lead, which is ever so important, because as he begins to get closer to the back half of the field, he's going to have to maneuver through some lap traffic, which could make things very difficult for him as we move on to that part of the race, because if those drivers are not willing to give him the bottom of the racetrack, he's going to have a hard time making his way through that traffic and getting through cleanly without potentially giving up some of his lead to OJ and to the other guys behind him as well. So he's going to have to be very careful once he gets to that point. He's still probably about 10 to 15 laps away from having to deal with any lap traffic, but certainly something that he needs to be thinking about as he approaches them in the next few laps, and try to manage that lead over OJ behind him here. So just watching these laps tick off pretty quickly here. Already we've knocked off 16 laps here at the Bullring, and these guys have gotten pretty spread out now. Not a whole lot going on throughout most of the field, actually, as these guys are running single file all the way around the track. Everybody's kind of gotten into a rhythm, just kind of hitting their marks and trying to log laps to get to the end of this thing. And we see here now there's a little bit of a battle going on for the, I believe that's the 7th and 8th position, as Brian Williams and Glenn Pressel. They have a nice battle going on right now, as Glenn has closed in on the back bumper of Brian over the last couple of laps, and he is trying to take that position away. He drives the car in really deep into the corner, trying to get underneath that number 9 machine, but just doesn't quite have the speed or the grip in those tires to get the job done, as he slips back just a hair, and now is just trying to get back to him, see if he can't make that move. And one thing these drivers have to be very careful about with these SK Modifieds is with the open wheels, they cannot really make a whole lot of contact without potentially damaging those tires and possibly giving themselves some major issues. So they have to be very careful when they're making their passes. It's not like when you're driving a stock car where you can use the fenders to help you get around somebody on occasion, especially on these little short tracks. You have to be a little bit more careful with these guys, but still pretty good racing going on, and just trying to see what's going on. Looks like we have another battle starting to brew up for the 4th, 5th, and 6th position now, as AJ Rogers is holding on to that 4th position. He's got Tyler Simmons and David Greensley right behind him now, side by side for that 4th position, as Tyler Simmons looks to the bottom of the racetrack trying to take the position away from AJ. It looks like he's going to have the advantage on the bottom of the racetrack, and indeed he does. And now David Greensley tries to take the position away as well, as he is on the bottom of the racetrack, and he too will slot ahead in front of AJ Rogers. So now that's going to move Tyler Simmons up to 4th and David Greensley up to 5th, and that pushes AJ Rogers back to the 6th position. And while all that's going on, James Curl is just trying to maintain that half a second lead that he has over OJ Dampier. It's right around half a second right now. Every once in a while you see OJ will gain a little bit, like right there he gained about a tenth and cut it down to about 4 car lengths. But for the most part, James Curl has done a pretty good job at maintaining that gap and keeping him behind him. The issue now is we have crossed the halfway point of this race, is how much of those tires has he wore off of that car in the beginning of this run trying to get away from him. If he has wore out those tires to the point where he's losing grip and OJ has managed his tires better, we might see a battle begin to shape up here for the lead. As you see now, OJ cuts another about a half a tenth right there, getting closer and closer to the back bumper of James Curl as we just again cross the halfway point. So he's definitely starting to find some speed in that car. Maybe he found a rhythm that he's finally gotten comfortable with, and he certainly seems like he's picked up the pace just a little bit here now, as he knows that time is beginning to run out. This race is already approaching the end of it here, as we're already getting down close to 20 laps to go, about 22 laps right now as a matter of fact. And OJ just continues to stalk James here for the race lead, just trying to stay in his rearview mirror, maybe make him worry a little bit, make him make a few mistakes, and he can try to take the race lead away via a mistake, more so than him actually having to run down the race leader and take it away from him that way. While all that's going on, there's not really a whole lot of other action going on the racetrack. We've got David Greenslet, who did manage to move his way up into that 4th position while we were covering the battle for the race lead. He was able to move his way around Tyler Simmons and take that 4th position away. So now he's trying to see if he can't track down Scott Sterling for that 3rd position. However, he's about 3 seconds behind Scott, so it's not likely that he's going to be able to make up that kind of time in the next 20 laps or so. Certainly going to keep the pressure on and see if he can't make something happen, but it's going to be pretty difficult for him. And unfortunately, he's just kind of in a little bit of a hole here, as there is no cautions in this series. Even if there was an accident on the racetrack, these guys are going to stay green the entire race, so he has no opportunity for this thing to get bunched back up and give them an opportunity to race on a restart potentially. So he's just got to make the best of what he's got now, and he's done a pretty good job. He started in the 5th position, he's moved up to 4th, so pretty good run for David Greenslet at this point. Just doing everything he needs to do to try to get closer to the front and gain some points and just try to have a pretty solid race and get out of this thing. Is now the guy right behind him, Tyler Simmons, got a little sideways in the middle of the corner. He was able to hang on to it, but he will fall back to the 6th position, and that allows AJ Rogers to get by him. However, he's not going to give up that position easily, as he stays on the bottom of the racetrack and battles underneath of AJ Rogers for that position, and will take the position back and move back into that 6th position, or 5th position rather, and tries to get ahead and see if he can't pull away from him now, as he does just that. And that actually, while all that was going on, it did bring Glenn Pressel into the picture, as he's right behind him trying to take that position now, or try to challenge for that position, as we now are almost down to just 13 laps to go in this race. Definitely starting to run out of time, as now Glenn Pressel has a moment off turn 2. Looks like he made contact with the outside wall and had to gather that car back up and get himself going back in the right direction. And while all that was going on, the race leader was able to start working through some of this lap traffic. He was able to lap the 8 machine of Garrett Richardson, and he is trying now to just keep that gap over OJ Dompler, as he's going to come to the stripe this time by, and we're going to have 11 laps to go here, and he has about a half a second advantage, just doing everything he needs to do as we get to the final 10 laps of this race. Just hit his marks and be very smooth and rhythmic and not make any mistakes, and he's going to get away with this thing with a pretty good finish, possibly a victory. We get down to just 9 laps to go here. He continues to maintain that half a second advantage over OJ Dompier, just trying to hang on. Again, as I mentioned, just running solid laps. These laps tick off so fast, it's hard to believe. We just started this race about 10 minutes ago, and we're already down to the last little bit of this thing. But James Curl doing a great job hanging on to the race lead. He's beginning to work into some more lap traffic, as he's getting ready to work on Brian Williams to try to put him a lap down. Looks like Brian's going to pull over and give him the position on the bottom of the racetrack. That's going to allow him to be able to get by cleanly without really losing any time. However, OJ was able to get through the middle of 3 and 4 really well, which allowed him to close in on the back bumper of James Curl. Not close enough to be able to make any moves, but he continues to try to charge the corner. As I just watched him right there, OJ drove that car off into turn 3 trying to make it stick, and unfortunately he had to check up in the middle of the corner, which hurt his momentum just a little bit, but he did still gain a little bit of time on James that last time by, as we have a wreck on the front stretch, which could impact this, as it looks like the number 7 machine of Tyler Simmons is around. He was on the bottom of the racetrack, and he was able to get out of the way, so it did not affect the race lead, and these two are able to continue battling as we're inside the last 5 laps now. We're coming to 4 laps to go this time by, and if OJ is going to do anything with our race leader, he's going to have to make it happen soon. He's beginning to run out of laps, so we are down already now. As we get ready to come around, we're going to be at 3 laps to go, and the battle for the lead has definitely picked up, as OJ Dompier has closed that gap down to less than a car length. He's almost right on the back bumper of James now, as they work around down the back straightaway here once again. They're going to have to work their way through probably 2 more lap cars before this thing's all said and done. 2 laps to go, though. It's go time for these 2 drivers, and OJ is doing everything he can, trying to give himself an opportunity. He stays right on the bottom of the racetrack and is trying his hardest to close in and see if he can't make something happen. He drives it in there, but now we hit the white flag, and for James Curl, he's just got to hit 2 more sets of corners cleanly, and he's going to be away scot-free. Looks like they're not going to catch those lap cars, and for James Curl, he's going to start from the pole, lead every lap, and as it comes off turn 4, James Curl will win the SK Modified Pro or Weekly Series here at the Bullring. And what an exciting race that was. And as the rest of the field begins to finish the race here, we're going to quickly run through the full field rundown. It's going to be James Curl with the race lead. And then he gets the victory here tonight. OJ Dompier will finish in the second position. Scott Sterling comes home in third. AJ Rogers will finish in the fourth. Glenn Pressel will finish fifth, and he was the last car to finish on the lead lap here tonight. David Greenslet will finish sixth. Then we have Brian Williams in seventh, Garrett Richardson in eighth, and Tyler Simmons comes home in ninth after his wreck, just a couple of laps to go. He unfortunately was not able to keep it going and finishes in the ninth position. That is the full field rundown. We're going to catch up with our race winner in just a moment, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. This is RaceSpot TV.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome back to RaceSpot TV, and we are getting ready to catch up with our race winner here tonight at the Bullring. James Curl led every single lap and came home with the victory, and now I am down in victory lane with our race winner. James, you led every lap, you won the race, but you had a nice little battle behind you with OJ Dompier staying right on your rear bumper. Take us through that battle you had with him tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Me and him are teammates, so we have the same setup, and you know, I knew he would be fast. He's already raced here this week, and I was in a Dave Steele Memorial race earlier this week on Monday, so I wasn't able to make it for the big Monday race. But yeah, he was there. A few times he would gain a lot on me in a few corners, but then he'd lose it. You know, maybe it was just more consistent. I don't know, but yeah, it was a good battle for sure. You know, I kind of got scared there the last few laps when I was trying to navigate through those lap cars, tiptoeing through them. So all in all, it was a good race, and I'm glad me and him get one too.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a person that has never actually turned laps at this track, what is it like running around the Bullring? Because this looks like a fun little track to race on, and you guys had a pretty good race here tonight. Again, you mentioned that OJ was quicker on some ends of the tracks, and another part of the race you were quicker than him. What are the tricks to this track to getting around the way you two got around here tonight?
Personally, I believe it's momentum. I try, awkwardly enough, I try to hug the bottom, the corners. Seems like maybe you pinch it off some, but I guess it just slingshots you out, you know, the next straightaway. But yeah, I mean, it's really fun to drive at. Everything happens really quick here. The biggest part of this track though is the apex of the corner is kind of blocked by your A post going down the straightaway, so you can't really see where you're going. It's almost like racing at Bristol. So that's one of the big things of this place. It's just kind of sketchy. You can't really see where you're going and where you want your left front to be. So sometimes you see us catch the apron a little bit. I know I caught it a few times, got a little loose. So that's something we all have to watch out for.
Well, and you brought me to my next question before I let you go here. I've actually never really ran laps in the SK Modify either. What are the challenges running this car compared to running, say, a late model or even one of the top 3 NASCAR stock cars around one of these short tracks? How different is it running one of these cars versus running one of them?
Well, in these cars, it's more on, in this car specifically, it's more momentum. It's like a little go-kart, except for, it's bigger and got bigger tires and more grip. It's generally pretty easy to set these cars up, but you want to be able to run the whole race, like a qualifying lap. These races are only 50 laps, and our fall off in this race was very minimal. I think maybe 0.2 of fall off. So it's you're up on the wheel the whole race basically, trying to get as much out of it as you can. You're not saving tires. You're just going, as hard as you can. The late models, you're gonna want to save your front end a little bit, and the A car and Sprint Cup or the Monster Energy car and stuff like that. You kind of have to fight your battles. You maybe not want to run it so hard in the beginning of the race and save your stuff for the end of the run.
Absolutely. Well, congrats on your win. Before we let you go, anybody you need to thank for this race? Anybody you want to just say hello to before we let you roll?
Yeah, just the whole team at Accelerated Motorsports. Just OJ. David was in this race. David Greenslet as well. He got wrecked out in a weird scenario on the last lap. So that sucks for him. He was running 4th. And then just the other guys that help work on these setups to make us fast out here. We put a few hours in each week for these setups, trying to get them ready for the weekly racing. So the big team effort.
All right, well, congrats on your win here tonight, James, and good luck in any future races that you run. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was James Curl. He went on to win tonight here at the Bullring after leading every lap of this 50-lap race, and what an incredible run that was for him. And this was just a really exciting race, and now we're going to look ahead to some of our future races coming up here on Race Spot. We have a couple coming up on Sunday. We have the iRacing Grand Prix Series at Silverstone at 2 p.m. GMT. That time zone, and then we also have the Skip Barber 2K World Cup at Summit Point, also at 8 o'clock on the GMT time zone. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend for you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm Brian Macklin, and this is Race Spot TV and iRacing Live. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.